How big a deal is it to get Quez going like you did on Sunday? I mean, maybe not necessarily 75-yard touchdowns, but just to get, obviously he brings something different than the other guys have.
Yeah, no, he's so important to this offense. Obviously, the speed, his ability to stretch the field, and it was great to get him involved in the passing game, create some explosive plays, and it just, it gives the defense somebody else in the passing game to worry about other than Tay.
Matt, is Rogers' practice schedule the same this week as last week?
I would say it'll be similar to last week. Certainly we'll handle it day by day, but a lot of it's just going to be on how he's feeling.
What's the biggest difference Stafford gives these guys since you saw them in the playoff game last year? How different do they look based on that change of play?
Well, I would say there's not a throw that he can't make. Obviously, they're being very aggressive. They're the most explosive offense, I want to say, in the National Football League. I think they're first in yards per play. So I think it's not only him, but it's the cumulative effect of all the players they have. They've got a lot of great players. I think Sean does as good as anybody of scheming you up and getting guys open. And, they've got a guy that when it's open, it's pretty much automatic.
With Cooper Kupp, what have you seen from him on film this year? Why is he having such a stand-up year beyond what he's done before?
Cooper's been dynamite since the day he got in this league. This guy he's so intelligent. He could tell you the quarterback's reads on almost every play. So, and then you combine that with his skill set and the way he works. It's not a surprise to me that he's having the year that he's had up to this point. He's done a great job. He's a big-time threat on third down, obviously, but on all downs. And I think he's savvier than most people give him credit for in terms of after the catch. We were watching some tape, and you just see, there was a 3rd and 13 versus Chicago late in the game, and he takes a little bubble and is able to convert the first down. And he is an elusive guy. He's very slippery, and you better know where he's at on every play.
Matt, do you remember what was kind of going through your mind when you guys got him back in 2017, and just what stood out to you the most about his game once he got in the building?
Yeah, it just how quickly he was able to acclimate himself and just insert himself and to be a focal point of the offense. He's so intelligent, like I said, and it comes natural for him, and he's got such a great feel, and quarterbacks love throwing to him.
And it sure looked like in the playoff game last year, Aaron Donald just wasn't himself. He had that rib injury. What does he look like now?
He looks like a monster. He looks like a game wrecker. Yeah, I don't think he certainly was hurting last year. There's no doubt about it, and he's a guy that you can't rest for 1 second when you're going up against him. You better know where he's aligned on every play, and you got to make sure that you're putting your players in the best position possible to go against him, because as dominant as he is in the pass game, he's equally as dominant in the run game, and I think that's what makes him so special. He plays a lot of snaps. His effort is relentless. He is a guy that just can completely take over a football game.
I was going to ask you about him too. What do you recall about your year together as far as just the day-to-day stuff with him?
Just everything, the work that he would put in. I just remember, leaving the office some nights pretty late, and he's still in there watching tape. It was really impressive. He might have been the only player in the building. He's a pro's pro.
We always hear with their defense how they like to scheme things up so that he gets one-on-one blocks. So how challenging is it schematically on your end to help out on him when you want to?
Yeah, it's extremely challenging because they do such a great job of rolling different personnel groupings and just positioning him in different spots. You're never quite sure where he's going to end up. So, I think they've done an outstanding job. Raheem and that staff there have done an outstanding job of putting him in great position. And then, he's got some players around him that are pretty darn good as well. So it's a great defense. It's going to be a great challenge for us.
How much does your experience with Sean and Joe's experience with all those players last year help out in prep on a week like this versus how much have things changed with personnel and scheme with both sides of the ball?
It does a little bit, but I think every game, you have your own plan, and I don't want to get influenced by Joe too much in terms of when we're scheming against the defense, and because they are a little bit different than we are.
You talk about Stafford's arm talent. With what you know about Sean's system, why do you think that's been such a good fit to have a quarterback like that in that scheme?
Well, I think it's a good fit in any system, but I think Sean does a great job of really putting stress on a defense in terms of not only vertically but horizontally. They take a lot of shots, and they've done a nice job protecting him. And when guys are open down the field, he makes you pay.
What has been your experience coming off teams that were on a bye the previous week?
I try not to look too much into that, to be honest with you. I think every team's a little bit different, but certainly I think one of the challenges is that there's probably going to be some unscouted looks that you haven't seen on tape, and you've got to be ready to adjust to that and make sure that our players are trusting their rules and following their rules in order to give us a chance to go out there and execute.
Matt, you touched on it a second ago, but is there a flip side to knowing Sean as well as you do and Joe having a connection and everything else that you actually have to consciously say, I don't want to use as much information as I may have because it can cloud things? Do you have to kind of check yourself on that?
Yeah, I think you got to trust what you see and trust your gut and try to, again, put your players in the best position as possible. I can remember going back to 2017, being in LA, talking to the defensive staff when we were getting ready to play San Francisco, and they went out and hung like 30 some odd points on us. So ever since then, I think you kind of learn your lesson, and certainly if you have a nugget, you give it, but I try not to, get overly involved with that side of the ball in regards to, I don't want to screw them up. I trust what they're doing. I trust what they're seeing, and I think that's the way you got to go about it.
In what ways does their defense look appreciably different from what you've faced the last 2 years?
Well, I mean, now you added another unbelievable pass rusher to the mix in Von Miller. So I think again, there's a lot of great players on that defense. Certainly Floyd's playing at a really high level. Jalen Ramsey's one of the best in the business. So there's a lot of star power on that defense. I think they do a great job of just really attacking your fronts and putting guys in position that make it challenging. And then they do a good job of just keeping a lid on top of the coverage, so it's hard to get big explosive plays on them.
This time of year, how often do you look at the forecast as soon as the last game's done and just root for it to be as cold as possible, especially with the California team coming?
I'm not going to lie. I wasn't disappointed when I saw it was going to be in the low 30s. But, that's just part of it. These guys are professionals. These guys have played in cold weather before.
Just looking back on the film, how did you feel about the way AJ performed Sunday, kind of first game in that feature back role?
Yeah, I thought he did an outstanding job. Certainly wish we could have given him a few more opportunities in the run game, but I thought, all in all, he really helped us in the pass game with some of those checkdowns that he was able to catch. I know he had over 100 yards total offense, so I thought he did a great job. I thought he did a great job in pass protection as well.
Do you have an update on Aaron Jones?
He'll be out there a little bit today, and we'll just see where he is. We'll take it a day at a time, and hopefully he has the ability to get back.
All right, let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
Just one. Go ahead, Aaron Nagler.
Coach, a couple years ago, you guys really struggled in get back on track situations. You really seemed to nail it on Sunday against the Vikings. Has there been a shift in emphasis or go-to plays in those situations? Because you had a lot of 1st and 20s that you overcame.
Yeah, no, I was really proud of our guys, their ability to go out there and execute. And, I think just not trying to rehash last week, but I think every game's a little bit different in terms of how you attack that situation. Obviously, you never want to be in it. But when you are, I think we might have been a little bit more aggressive this past game, and we converted on some of those plays, which allowed us the opportunity to get into some more manageable situations. And even when we were in 3rd and long, there was, I remember we hit that, you know, that corner route or whatever to MBS. So, you know, our guys just did a great job executing.